In last class, what we discussed was the process of commutation in DC machines. The commutation process that we described in the last lecture is not actually as simple as it seemed to be in the last class. In last class, what we discussed was that the commutation is the process by which the AC voltages that are being produced inside a DC machine are converted into DC voltage at the terminals of a DC machine. I'll repeat it once again. Commutation is the process by which the AC voltage induced inside the DC machine, inside the windings of DC machine, are converted into DC voltage at the terminals of a DC machine. The process is known as commutation. Next, what we observed in last class was that during this process of commutation, since the brush X and brush Y, they are fixed at their positions, but these commutator segments are rotating, there's a time when a particular brush, say brush X, short circuits two commutator segments. In this case, brush X was short circuiting commutator segment A with commutator segment B. Similarly, brush Y was short circuiting commutator segment C with commutator segment D. When brush X was short circuiting commutator segment A with commutator segment B, there's a coil 1 between commutator segment A and commutator segment B. That in effect means that brush X is short circuiting commutator segment A and B, which in effect means that brush X is short circuiting the two ends of coil 1. But we were fortunate enough that we found out that the instant this brush X short circuits winding 1, the voltage that was being induced in this winding, in this coil 1, was 0. That is, the instant the brush short circuits commutator segment A and B, and the coil that is between commutator segment A and B, that is coil 1, the voltage induced in that coil, that is coil 1, at that instant when the commutator segment A and B are being short circuited by brush X, voltage induced in that coil is 0. This was the case. When coil 1 and coil 3 are in this position, these coil 1 and coil 3 are being short circuited respectively by brushes X and Y. But luckily at this position, the voltage induced in coil 1 and voltage induced in coil 3 was 0. Why? Because the coils 1 and 3 were in the neutral plane, or we can say the angle between V and B was 0. In short, voltage induced were 0 at this position. When voltage induced was 0 and you were short circuiting it, though there was no problem. If you short circuit a coil which has 0 voltage induced across it, it won't create any problem. But had there been voltage here and voltage here, and you are short circuiting it, there would have been a huge circulating current from 1 prime, B, A, and back to 1 in this, which would have damaged the brushes, which would have damaged the commutator segment as well as the windings. But this was the case of an ideal DC machine. We didn't consider all the factors in this. In a real DC machine, there are problems with the commutation. And what are the problems with the commutation in real DC machine that we are going to discuss in this lecture? Problems with commutation in the real DC machines. Before going to the problems with commutation in real DC machines, basically there are two major effects that occur in real world or that occur in real DC machines that we have not discussed so far in case of an ideal DC machine. These two effects that I am going to discuss with you create the problems with commutation. And what are the two effects? Number one is armature reaction. Number two is LdI by dt voltage. I'll discuss them one by one. Let's first take armature reaction. What basically is armature reaction? I'll explain this with the help of figures, diagrams. Let us suppose we take example of generator. It will be easier for me to explain this using a generator. Suppose this is rotor of a DC machine, DC generator. This is the field. Let us suppose this is the north pole, this is the south pole. There are slots in this. These are slots for the armature winding. Say we are rotating the rotor in this direction. We already know in generator the input is the mechanical energy and output is the electrical energy. That means we have to rotate using a prime mover, and we are rotating this rotor in this anti-clockwise direction using a prime mover. Fine. And when you rotate this rotor in this direction, finally you'll produce EMF, or you'll produce voltage will be induced in the winding, and if you connect load across to the terminals of the machine, you can supply that load then. I'll come to that. So this will be the magnetic field in this direction. A radial magnetic field. Fine. This axis, what we call that, as you remember in last lecture, we call this as neutral axis. Because magnetic field is zero over here. It's going here, it's going here, it's zero over here. Or in other words, the voltage induced in these conductors is zero. Why? Because say it's moving in this direction, magnetic field is in this direction, the two are in anti-parallel directions. So angle is 180 degree, sine 180 is 0. Here this is going here, magnetic field is in same direction, same sine 0 is 0. So E, V cross B, V and B are in same direction, angle is 0, induced EMF is 0. Here EMF is 0, here EMF is 0. And what about these conductors? It will be dot under north pole. We have discussed this. For anti-clockwise rotation, under the north pole, this is dot. Dot means coming out. This is cross. Cross means going into the plane. This thing we have already discussed. Okay. Next, suppose, since this is the diagram of a rotor which is being rotated using a prime mover in the anti-clockwise direction. This is the direction of induced voltage. Suppose you connect now load to this machine. When you connect the load to this DC machine, current will come out of these dotted terminals and it will go into the cross terminals. So current will come from here and it will go here. Current will come from here, it will go here. Current will come from here, it will go here. Fine. Current will come out of here and current will go out into here. Tell me one thing. Till now, how many magnetic fields are there in this machine? There's only a single magnetic field, which is because of this stator, this north and south pole, this is the only magnetic field. Now when you connect some load to this terminals of this DC machine, there will be current flowing through the armature now. There will be some armature current. Current will come out here and current will go into here, out of here, into here. That current flow will produce a magnetic field of its own. Will it produce or not? Because we already know a current carrying wire behaves as a magnetic field. Whenever you have a current carrying loop, that behaves as a magnetic field. Fine? It behaves as a magnet. So it produces a magnetic field. A current carrying loop produces a magnetic field. Now when you have a current carrying loop, when will you have a current carrying loop? When you connect some load to this machine. When you connect the load to this machine, circuit gets completed and there is a current flow. Whenever there is a current flow, so there is a magnetic field. This we call as main field, or we call as stator field. Now we have another field because of this rotor, or what you call as armature. Now we have another field, another magnetic field because of this armature, what you call as armature magnetic field. Let's suppose this is figure 1. Let me draw that armature magnetic field first. This is north, this is south. This is dot, this is dot, this is dot, this is cross, this is cross, this is cross. No voltage is induced in these two. For these three sides, this, and this, current is going into the plane of page or out of the plane of page. Current is coming out of the plane of page. So will they produce a magnetic field or not? I'm not showing this magnetic field here. Stator magnetic field. I'm only showing the rotor magnetic field here for time being. So what is the armature magnetic field? Since these are conductors, straight conductors like this, and current is coming out of the plane of page. It's coming out of the plane of page. So if you hold the conductor in your hand with the thumb pointing in direction of current, the direction of the curl of your fingers will give you direction of magnetic field. So it produces a magnetic field in this direction. Clockwise, anti-clockwise. Curl of my fingers is current is up, curl is anti-clockwise. So in this direction. And for these conductors, since current is going into the plane of page, direction of curl of my finger give you direction of magnetic field. So it is clockwise. This is magnetic field because of these conductors, anti-clockwise, magnetic field because of these conductors, clockwise. Now let me define armature reaction. Now we have two magnetic fields. One was the main field which was being produced by this north and south pole, what you called as stator field. Now you have another field because of the armature, what you call as armature field. You have main field and you have now armature field. Since you have two magnetic fields inside the machine, this was the magnetic field to begin with, what you call as main field. Because of this armature field, now the total magnetic field in the machine will be the resultant of the main field and the armature field. You will have now the resultant of two fields, that is, you will have the resultant of main field and armature field. Thus, the armature field will distort the main field of the machine and this distortion of the main field or flux by the armature field is called armature reaction. So now what is armature reaction? Armature reaction basically is, in simpler terms, when you connect load to the terminals of this machine, a current will flow. That current flow will produce a magnetic field of its own. Now since there are two magnetic fields in the machine, one is the main field, second is the armature field. So the overall result is that since you have two magnetic fields inside the machine, so there will be an equivalent resultant magnetic field. That is, the original main field has been changed, has been distorted by the armature magnetic field. And this is what you call as armature reaction. This phenomena is known as armature reaction. So armature reaction is a distortion of the main field by the armature magnetic field, or armature reaction is the distortion of the main flux by the armature flux. Fine. Now let us draw the overall resultant magnetic field of this main field and armature field. What will it look like? It will look like this. If this is the rotor of a machine, this is stator, say this is north, this is south pole. Fine. This is dot, this is dot, this is dot. This is cross, this is cross, this is cross. We already know we have a magnetic field here. Which is the main magnetic field. And we have a magnetic field because of the armature. Here it is clock or anti-clockwise direction. It's out of the plane, so anti-clockwise. Here it is clockwise. So what is the big deal about this armature reaction? Armature reaction causes two problems. It causes two problems. Number one is neutral plane shift. Number second is flux weakening. Let me take first one, neutral plane shift. Till now we know that this was the magnetic neutral plane. What's the magnetic neutral plane? It was magnetic neutral plane is that position in the space whenever the conductors lied along this plane, the voltage induced in those conductors was 0. Now tell me one thing. Because of the armature reaction, magnetic field here or magnetic flux here is added to the main field or is subtracted from the main field? It is subtracted. While as here the two fields are added together. Here the two fields add together. Here the two fields subtract from each other. Let's try to understand what I am saying. Here two fields, two fluxes subtract from each other. Here two fluxes add to each other. So this effectively means that the magnetic neutral plane is not here. It is being shifted here. In this direction. It is being shifted here in this direction. Why? Because it won't be 0 now here. Why it won't be 0 over here? Because this magnetic flux is subtracting from this magnetic flux. Here the two magnetic flux are adding to each other. So it's stronger on this side, it's weaker on this side. So it's not 0 here, it's 0 somewhere here. So this neutral plane shifts. This is new magnetic neutral plane. Magnetic neutral has shifted. Now you might ask, So what is the big deal about this magnetic neutral plane? How does it concern us? Let me explain this to you. From the previous discussion, we already know that because of commutation, there will be a time when the brush will short circuit two commutator segments, initially A and B, then B and C, then C and D, and so on. There will be a time when a brush will short circuit commutator segments. But luckily, in the previous case, we found out that the brush was short circuiting commutator segments when the voltage induced in that winding which was being short circuited was zero. Why was voltage induced zero in that winding? Voltage induced was zero in that coil or in that winding because that coil lied along the magnetic neutral plane. This was the magnetic neutral plane. It lied along the magnetic neutral plane. So what is the big deal? The big deal is this thing. When the commutator segment will short circuit, when the brush will short circuit two commutator segment to which this and this, let's call this as X and X prime. When the brush will short circuit commutator segments to which coil sides X and X prime are connected, the voltage induced in X prime coil was zero, so there was no problem. But because of magnetic neutral plane shift, now magnetic neutral is not here. This is not the magnetic neutral, this is the magnetic neutral. That means when the coil is here in this position, it is being short circuited by the brush, but voltage induced in this coil is not zero now. Voltage will be zero when this coil is here at this position. I hope you are getting me. Initially, whenever a brush short circuited two commutator segments, that coil lied in the magnetic neutral plane and the voltage induced in that coil was zero, so there was no problem with it. But because of armature reaction, since magnetic neutral plane has shifted, magnetic neutral plane shift means that the voltage induced in conductor will be zero now when that conductor is along this plane. So when this coil X is in this plane and it is being short circuited by the brushes, is voltage zero in the coil X or it has some value? It has some value. When it has some value and you are short circuiting it, so there will be circulating currents. When there will be circulating current, those currents will flow through the brushes, through the commutator segment, through the windings and damaging all the three, causing sparking and other problems. We'll come to those. What are the problems? So how can we solve this? One thing that could come to your mind is, sir, why don't we shift these brushes here? Why don't we shift these brushes here? We shift these brushes here such that these brushes will short circuit commutator segments when the coils are along the new magnetic neutral plane, here and here. But there's a problem with that too. The problem is that where will the new magnetic neutral plane lie? It depends upon the current that is being supplied by the machine. Initially, when there was no load connected to this machine, This was the magnetic neutral plane. If you put on some load on the machine, that means you are drawing some current from the machine, this neutral plane will shift in this direction. You put more load, this will shift further. 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 Now the question is, where would you keep the brushes such that they short circuit the commutator segments when the voltage induced in the windings connected to those commutator segments is zero? You cannot keep it at one place. Why? Because the position of new magnetic neutral plane is a function of the current. And current drawn from the DC generator will not be constant all the time. It will be less sometimes, it will be more sometimes, it will be the rated current, it will be half the rated current, it will be quarter of the rated current, it will be 3/4 of the rated current. It can have any value from 0 to rating. So you cannot adjust the brushes to keep them at a particular value. If you adjust the brushes to keep them such that the brushes short circuit commutator segments when the coils lie here, say at the full load, then when there is no load connected to machine, that is this point, there will be circulating currents. So what I mean to say is that the magnetic neutral plane keeps on changing as the current keeps on changing. What are the solutions to this problem then? We'll come to that. Now second, that is flux weakening. Have a look about what is flux weakening. We have already discussed this in the class. This is MMF. This is flux phi. This is the magnetization curve. Linear region, knee, and then saturation. Where do we operate our machines? We operate them near the knee point. Why? Reasons are already known to you from our earlier discussions. Since this is the non-linear region now, if you increase MMF after this point, is there a linear or non-linear relation between flux and MMF and flux? It is non-linear. Percentage increase in MMF has to be more than the percentage increase in flux that you get. What I mean to say is, if you increase flux, say by 10%, sorry, if you increase MMF by 10%, will flux increase by 10%? No, it will increase by less than 10%. And if you go here, initially MMF was here. If we increase MMF by certain percentage, flux increases by certain percentage. If we decrease MMF by same percentage, say we decrease MMF by 10%, will flux decrease by 10%? Let me explain this in another way. Leave this for a second. Have a look over here. Here at this position, the two MMFs add or subtract from each other. The two MMFs subtract from each other. And here the two MMFs, they subtract or add to each other. They add to each other. When the two MMFs add to each other, that means MMF is increasing. When two MMFs increase, when two MMFs add to each other, since you are already operating at the knee point, even if you increase MMF, the increase in flux will be less because you are already in the saturation region. You are in the saturation region. If you increase the MMF, increase in flux will be very little, very small because you are in the saturation region. But here, the armature MMF is subtracting from the main MMF. So you are going here to here. When you go from here to here, are you in the linear region or saturation region? You are in the linear region. If you decrease the MMF, flux will decrease proportionately. That means the point where the two MMFs add to each other, the flux does not increase much. But at points where the two MMFs subtract from each other, there's a considerable decrease in the flux. So here, because of MMF in the same direction, flux does not increase. But here, because of MMF in the opposite direction, flux does decrease a good deal. So what is the overall effect? Does the overall flux under this pole increase or decrease? Here flux will increase, here flux will decrease. But is increase in flux more or decrease in flux more? Decrease in flux is more, as we can see here. Increase in flux is less. So overall, total flux under the pole, has it increased or decreased? It has decreased because decrease was more. Flux under the pole decreases. This is what you call as flux weakening. Overall flux under the pole decreases. Again, have a look here. The two MMFs are in same direction. When the two MMFs are in the same direction, you are increasing the MMF, but flux does not increase much because you are already in the saturation region. Here the two fluxes are subtracting from each other. Here the two MMFs are subtracting from each other. When the two MMFs are subtracting from that, your MMF is decreasing. When MMF decreases, flux does decrease a good deal. Why? Because this is the linear region. This is the non-linear region. Saturation, this is the linear region. So increase in flux is less, decrease in flux is more. So the overall effect is flux under the pole decreases. This was the second problem caused by this armature reaction. Two problems are caused by armature reaction. Number one is neutral plane shifts and number second is flux weakening. What does neutral plane shift problem what is the problem with neutral plane shift then? Whenever neutral plane shifts, we have adjusted our brushes such that they were short-circuiting two commutator segments. When the coil attached to those commutator segments was in the magnetic neutral plane, such that voltage induced in that coil was zero. But when neutral plane shifts, but we have brush edges such that they will short-circuit segments when the coils are here. Now neutral plane is here. This is not the neutral plane, so there will be voltage here in this X and X prime coil. So you are short-circuiting coil with a finite voltage across it. That will produce sparking and that will produce circulating currents. That was the problem with neutral plane shift. And second is flux weakening. Now what is the problem with flux weakening? What problem does this flux weakening cause? The problem with flux weakening is that in generators, since we know that E induced is equivalent to constant K flux per pole into omega. Induced voltage depends upon constant speed of rotation at flux. If this flux under pole flux decreases, this is decreasing, induced EMF will decrease. So you will get less voltage at the terminals of a generator because of this flux weakening problem. So flux weakening problem in generators causes terminal voltage to decrease. What about motors? They tend to have a serious problem in motors than in generators. Do you remember, for motors we have this equation, Vt terminal voltage is equivalent to E induced plus IARA armature current into resistance. We have discussed this in class. You can refer to lecture notes. Or you know this Vt is equivalent to K phi omega plus IARA. From this we can write IA then directly. IA is equivalent to Vt minus K phi omega divided by Ra. Also, torque induced is equivalent to K phi and this Ia. Or I can write torque induced is equivalent to C constant times Ia. Because of flux weakening, this flux phi decreases. When flux phi decreases, K phi omega decreases. When K phi omega decreases, Vt minus K phi omega increases. Vt minus K phi omega increases means current Ia increases. That means because of flux weakening, current drawn by the motor Ia increases. So what's the big deal about this increase in current? When current Ia increases, torque induced increases. When torque induced increases, machine will run faster. When machine runs faster, it will draw more current. When current I again increases, torque again increases. When torque increases, speed increases. When speed increases, current increases. So this can be a cumulative effect in a DC motor, where because of the flux weakening, when flux decreases, speed of motor increases. When flux decreases, speed of motor increases. When speed of motor increases, it tends to draw more current. When it draws more current, flux again decreases. When flux decreases, speed again increases. So this cumulative effect keep on going. And some shunt motors can reach the runaway condition. How do you solve this problem? We'll come to that. I started my lecture by saying that the problems with commutation in real DC machines are two. One is the armature reaction problem, second is LDI by dt voltage. Armature reaction problem, then I discussed with you, because of the armature reaction there are two problems. One is neutral plane shift and second is flux weakening. So we are done with armature reaction. It has two problems. One is neutral plane shift and one is flux weakening. Another problem that is with real DC machines is LDI by dt voltage. I briefly explain this, what's LDI by dt voltage. Let me come here. Suppose initially at omega t equal to 0, this one prime side was cross and one was dot. If I draw it here, one prime is cross, is going into here, it's coming out here. Then after 45 degrees, this coil 1 reaches here. This is the case, coil 1 reaches here. So what's current here? It is 0. Then after another 45 degrees, that's omega t equal to 90 degrees. This case, this 1 prime reaches, now 1 prime is dot. That means current is now 1 prime is dot. Current is now in this direction. What that effectively means is that current has reversed direction. Current has reversed direction through coil 1. Initially it was from 1 prime to 1, now it's from 1 to 1 prime. So there's a change in current associated with each coil. Because initially this coil was under the south pole, then this coil came in the magnetic neutral plane, and then it came under the north pole. So there is change in direction of current. Usually suppose the current in one coil is 200 amperes. This is an example. And this machine is rotating at 800 revolutions per minute. And suppose this machine has 50 commutator segments. Then we can calculate this di by dt, how much is change in current. Change in current is final current minus initial current. Total is 200. 200 minus 200, that is 400. And the time it takes from the calculations using revolutions per minute and the number of commutator segments, it comes out to be 0.0015. So this this di by dt is 266 comma 667. This is directly from the book. Amperes per second. I will explain this how these things happen when I discuss numericals with you. Here my aim is to show you how much can this L di by dt be. Even with a small value of inductance L, this L di by dt can be huge. And you know this L di by dt, this is known as inductive kick. Since in the coil, current is changing the direction very fast, but this coil has a inductance with it, and that inductance will tend to oppose the change in direction of current. You know this from the Lenz's law. This inductance basically tends to oppose the change in the current. Because of its tendency to oppose the change in current, it will induce a voltage in the coil such that that tends to oppose the change in the current. This is that voltage, what you call it inductive kick. Because of this inductive kick, there's huge voltage across the two commutator segments when coil is being switched from one brush to other brush. Because of this inductive kick, there can be huge sparking at the brushes, which will damage the brushes, which will damage the commutator segments and increase the wear and tear of the machine. So in today's lecture, we basically studied about the problems in commutation in DC machines. We studied about the armature reaction and L di by dt voltage. Armature reaction causes two problems. One was magnetic neutral plane shift and second one was flux weakening. And then we studied about inductive kick or L di by dt voltage. What they produced in the machine. In next lecture now, we'll try to address these problems. How do we solve such problems in real DC machines? What are the solutions in real DC machines to solve such problems? Till then, goodbye. Thank you.